Chapter 1. The mistake everyone repeats. Stop replanting your garden, because every time you start over, you're losing time, you're losing food, and you don't even realize it. Most people think gardening works like this: plant, wait, harvest, start again. It feels normal, but it's not efficient, and deep down, you've felt that. You've planted before, watched things grow, then suddenly, it's over. Empty soil again, back to zero. And that's the cycle that keeps people stuck. But what if that cycle isn't necessary? What if one plant could feed you again and again without ever starting over? Sounds unrealistic, but it's not. The truth is, some vegetables are designed to keep producing, not once, not twice, but continuously. And most people miss it, not because it's hidden, but because they're using them the wrong way. And the first one is something you've probably grown before. You just didn't know what you were doing. Chapter 2. The plant you keep killing. Spinach. Spinach looks simple, too simple. That's why people underestimate it. They plant it, they watch it grow, and when it's ready, they pull everything out. One harvest, done. And without knowing it, they just destroyed weeks of future food. Because spinach isn't meant to end like that. It's meant to continue. If you cut the outer leaves and leave the center alive, it grows back, again and again. But here's the danger. Cut too deep once, and it stops. No warning, no second chance. And most people don't even realize when they've crossed that line. So they blame the plant. But it wasn't the plant. It was the method. And once you see that, you start questioning everything else you've been doing wrong. Because the next vegetable doesn't just grow back, it multiplies. Chapter 3. The vegetable that regrows itself. Green onions. Green onions don't behave normally. You cut them, and they come back, fast, sometimes in days. But here's what most people never notice. The part they throw away is the part that grows again. That small base, that's your next harvest. And every time you toss it, you're throwing away food you didn't even know you had. But even when people figure this out, they still fail. It works once, maybe twice, then suddenly, nothing. And they think it stopped working. But it didn't. They broke the cycle. Cut too low, damaged the base, or didn't keep it alive. And just like that, it's over. But when you get it right, you don't just grow onions. You create a loop, a system. And once you see that, you realize something bigger is happening. Because the next plant doesn't just loop, it keeps producing for months. Chapter 4. The plant that never stops. Kale. Kale doesn't rush. It doesn't try to impress you early. But once it starts producing, it keeps going. You take leaves, more come back, stronger, faster, over time. But here's where most people lose it without realizing. They wait too long. They want bigger leaves, more growth. But that slows everything down, because kale responds to action. The more you harvest, the more it produces. But ignore it, and it turns against you. Leaves get tough, growth slows, output drops, and now you're confused because the same plant that was feeding you is now barely producing, not because it failed, but because your timing did. And the next vegetable punishes timing even harder. Cabbage Chapter 5. The Timing Trap. Lettuce feels safe, easy, predictable, until it suddenly isn't. One day it's perfect, the next day it's bitter, tall, useless. And most people never see it coming, because lettuce doesn't fail loudly. It changes quietly. Heat rises, stress builds, time passes, and suddenly it's gone. But here's the truth. It didn't have to fail. If you harvest early and keep harvesting, it keeps producing fresh leaves over and over. But wait too long and you lose the cycle. And there's something most people don't know, a simple method that can stretch your harvest even longer.
But to understand that, you need to see the next plant, because this one doesn't stay still. It expands.
Cucumbers don't stay where you put them. They climb, they spread, they take over. And that's a good thing, because when they grow upward, everything improves. More space, more air, more fruit. But most people make one mistake. They let it crawl on the ground, and that's where it starts to fail. Rot, pests, low production, and they blame the plant. But it's not the plant, it's the setup. Train it upward, and everything changes. And here's the part most people miss. The more you harvest, the more it produces. Stop harvesting, it slows down. And that means your effort controls your output. And the next plant pushes that idea even further. Peppers don't hold back. Once they start producing, they keep going. You pick one, more appear. But this is where people lose the advantage. They wait. They want bigger peppers, better color, perfect results. But that wait kills production because the plant thinks it's done. So it slows down, stops pushing new growth. But harvest early, and it keeps producing again and again and again. And now the pattern is clear. The faster you act, the more you get. But the final plant breaks this pattern completely. Most people grow sweet potatoes for one reason, the root. That's all they see. That's all they wait for. But that's not where the real value is. The real value is above the ground, the leaves. Because you can harvest them without killing the plant. They grow back, fast, continuously. And still, you get the root later. 2 harvests, 1 plant. And almost nobody uses it this way. They wait, harvest once, and start over. But now, you're seeing something different. Now, look back at everything. Spinach, onions, kale, lettuce, cucumbers, peppers, sweet potatoes. They all follow one pattern. They don't stop producing. People stop them. By harvesting wrong, by waiting too long, by not understanding the cycle. And once you see that, everything changes. Because now you're not just planting, you're managing a system, a continuous flow of food, not a one-time event. Most people will ignore this. They'll go back to what feels familiar. Plant, harvest once, start again, repeat. But now you know there's another way, a smarter way, a way that keeps giving without starting over. So the question is, will you keep restarting your garden, or will you finally build one that never stops feeding you? Because what you plant today isn't just about today. It decides what you keep eating tomorrow, next month, and far beyond that. And now, you know.